All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Plastic Memories, Episode 1.
Starting a new show.
We are continuing the tradition, Jacob, of one core shows that we each take turns choosing.
That's
and
right.
You've chosen...
I have chosen Plastic Memories,
Plastic
yes.
Memories.
I've heard, well, nothing really about this show other than that it might hit the Kokoro. Yeah. Right, and I'm always itching for a new bit of emotional masochism. So
yes,
there you go. The reason why I hadn't watched the show until now is because I had always heard it as like a not quite as good as Angel Beats, right? Which now I've heard is not quite doing it justice, right? So
it's better than Angel Beats, basically.
Apparently for some people. So that means I'm very, very interested in watching it. But yeah,
I don't know what Angel Beats is, but something that hits me in the Kokoro reminds me of my Your Lie in April days, and Sangatsu, and Is this like a heavy hits in the Kokoro? Is this just like Kokoro?
I really don't know.
What are we doing here?
Because in the case of Angel Beats, right? Since that's the only real comparison, which again apparently isn't even a very good comparison, but that was more of like a really good like intro anime for like the emotional side of things, where it had like action and like cool animation, but then it also had emotional moments. Okay. So I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay, well, Plastic Memories as a title, I think is perfect because it gives me a lot of vibes of there being some aspect of like becoming human being an actual theme of this, because plastic being something like where it's
fake,
like something false, something that would appear close enough to the real thing but not actually the real thing, and then memories being something tied to the soul. So and that already
general emotional feelings and stuff. Yeah.
So I get where maybe there could be some really serious serious emotion stuff in here, but I don't even know the aesthetic of this show or even like what the
it was made in
like.
2015 apparently. For the longest time I thought it was way older than that, but it's 2015, so that's pretty new.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
2015, so yeah, not that old at all. But yeah, y'all, it's a show we're both completely blind to. Well, as per the usual, on Tuesday, Jacob and I each choose a show.
Yep.
Going back and forth. So once this show is complete, then I'll choose a show that'll be nice and short and sweet. But Plastic Memories, y'all. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone. Now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion. All right. Okay, so this is the premise of the show.
Yep.
It's a great way to explore, I would say, not what I thought it was going to be. Not about the difference between being human and not being human, but actually what it means to say goodbye to someone that you know is going to die. So this feels like it's very much a kind of a commentary thing on the aspect of people that have terminal illnesses and or dementia, where this is specifically, androids that were bought specifically for, certain emotional services. It's like having it's like having a pet, but it's like having specifically like a emotional support pet of some kind, where they're specifically there because there's an aspect of your livelihood that is needing help and support in this area, but it's also a thing of where you can kind of fall into the fantasy aspect of them being that child that you never had, that grandchild that's fulfilling that part of your family, but there's a terminal end point that is unavoidable.
It's one of the things that anime does so well, in that it can set up these fantastical situations that touch on and are reminiscent of many real life situations, like dementia and and pets and or even just any kind of terminal illness, where someone's going to die and you don't have that long with them, but you do have some time with them, right?
You get to spend all that time with them either way.
It's and no real life example is really a perfect like parallel, and that's why it's able to touch on so many.
Yes. Great point.
But man,
it's a good one. And they could do a lot of episodic stories of just going through this process. They showed us 2 different scenarios of this that were on the emotional side of things, and they gave us one that was on the more comedic side of things, where you had one where it was 2 lovers and they were trying to get away so that they didn't have to deal with the whole situation of getting picked up and split apart. And that's actually kind of like,
it's a nice tie-in into future episodes that they can bring up, and it's there's no shortage of basically like emotional punches that they can give, because this is literally just because of the premise. It's a way to cut to the chase of the emotional punch, right?
Right.
Because it's
built into the lore.
It's built into the lore of the show. It's when these people need to let go, to live and let die, right? And the idea that is it's a natural part of life that we all have to come to grips with, but that doesn't make it any easier. That doesn't make it any easier. And the idea that just that one more day, right? Is everything.
Right, and they definitely don't show up on the very last day. They probably show up within about 2 weeks, I would say, to give the person basically the heads up. Or they probably send them an electronic notification of like, hey, you've got about a month left.
Probably all of the above to get them to emotionally be at that point where it's
prepared.
You need to let go of this person. And
and the other thing that is, I would say, rather interesting here is we're dealing at this from the commercial standpoint. This is a company. This is a company that sells a service and a product that has its own built-in endpoint.
You can get 30% off your next purchase if whatever, or you can keep the same model even if the memories are different.
Here's something that I find rather interesting, because I find this to be a thing that they could go into. They definitely, I'd say almost definitely they won't. But the idea that, hey, why is it that it's 9 years and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, well, marketing has shown that people are, have their strongest attachments begin to form right at the point of about 18 months prior, so letting them experience the honeymoon period of the strongest part of their experience there. Then once it ends, that makes them the most likely to buy another one. Like I'm thinking about like the fact that
it could go there.
Yeah, it could go there. Or it's a thing of where it's like, hey, new technology.
Right.
A 6-month bit was just added to the next line of products. So be sure to replace yours so you get the one that lasts you now 10 years or 9 3/4 of a year.
Like it seems like this is the equivalent of this artificial intelligence technology that allows them to make actual people more or less is still imperfect, right?
Of course.
And and it's the equivalent of like how in Star Wars droids need memory wipes every once in a while, except in this case it's not
a permanent memory wipe.
It's a permanent, but it's not just a droid, right? It's a person for all intents and purposes, like at this point, and you're going to wipe them.
That's pretty painful. We've got our cast. We've got Tsukasa, aka Mikasa Tsukasa. He is a regular boy.
Right.
Nothing much more to say about him other than he is the unaware protagonist, which is kind of a convenient thing that he's joining up for a job that he literally knows nothing about. Which, whatever.
It's a way to introduce it to the audience.
Yeah, it's a way to have us know everything about that. Although I kind of would have liked it to be almost a little bit more of a thing of where we don't know, and then we show up to the house at one point,
and he's like,
and he's aware. And he kind of has this like heavy look, and we're like, well, what's gonna happen? And then we are supposed to interpret, terminal services.
That's not
retrieval. And then we see the family with their son. Like, we'll always be our boy. I think it would have hit me a little bit harder to have that be the one moment of unexpectedness. But either way, it works. Ira is a specific trope of also main kind of female lead character where
that is a ticking time bomb of emotions where she's going to die and all that stuff. And one of the things,
she literally even has the white hair of just like, I will die, and it will be horrible.
Well, and one of the things that I do really appreciate about this is that the Nicholas Sparks,
Oh,
plot, right?
sure.
Of, okay, you have someone and you have two people, they fall in love, one of them must die because that's how this goes, right? And it's all emotional and all that stuff. There's a reason that man has made such a great career. It works, and nothing against that, right? I love your line in April.
Did it before him, but
Right. But in this case, because it's something where it's so known, it makes it in a lot of ways, in my mind, feel more relatable. Because we know that our loved ones are going to die eventually. Right? But we don't live thinking about that. We think about the fact that we have them now.
Right.
And oftentimes we don't appreciate them properly. And the fact that we have them now, and we don't know how much time they might have left, right?
That's life,
that's life. That's life.
That's it.
And the idea that in this case, they know that there's only so much time that they'll have, and this person is no exception. She's just one other example, right? And it's put into it's portrayed with a cutesy anime girl, right? Where you wouldn't expect this kind of thing to happen, but she's no exception, right?
Absolutely.
And she just happens to be getting close, and she's going to have to come to terms with that, and everyone else around her will have to come to terms with that.
Well, she already is starting to.
Right.
They had moments in the episode where we were seeing her have memory issues, have things where she was just like, I don't want to do this. Things that were trying to build us up to connect with her, as she was also having moments of, I'm scared. I don't like the idea of this happening. I wish I could be fully autonomous, and then I would just submit to my programming. I wouldn't have to deal with any of that. In some ways, I get the vibe
that she's already past her due date.
Well, that in some ways, she is a little bit of an exception at this point. And the reason for that has to be something to do with, like, maybe some paperwork kind of thing with Kazuki. Because Kazuki is the character that we've set up to be you're supposed to not like her in the beginning. By the end of this episode, not the episode, by the show, you're going to like her, because the reason why she's so like, or what have you, is that she hasn't come to terms with the fact that, Ira is one that she is no longer partnered with because she's no longer maybe perfectly fit for the job or something.
The way this show sets things up, what I love about it is that it's the upfrontness about the nature that Ira's going to die, right? And all of this stuff. It's essentially setting up a microcosm of what it will be like for the audience with all of I'm guessing it's going to continue in some sort of episodic format with them going on different missions and whatnot. With the characters that we see in the episodes, where they know this is coming, but denial, but all this stuff, they want to hang on, and that's already happening with our main cast, right? And it's going to continue to happen with them, and we are going to get roped into that as well,
right? I also get the vibe that the reason why they're downsizing, and yet they hired on a new person, is because the emotional taxing nature of this job for the humans is one in which they are usually needing to cycle people out before they've been working there for 9 years. Think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it.
Yep.
Also, what do you think it's like for the Gifty Us, who probably have had a lot of partners, because they're not brought in probably at the same time as another specific human hire? That would be a waste of resources. And we're a big corporation. We got to be efficient. We've already been having talks about downsizing. So we have a character like Zack, who specifically is partnered up with Michiru, the tsundere. But Michiru has only been working here for a year.
Right.
There's nothing about Zack that says he's been working here for only a year.
Right. Well, and also,
so why did the other one leave?
Yep. Oh yeah. And my mind blanked.
Specifically with the characters all being kind of thrown right up the forefront, introduced right now. What I like about this is that you can also have all the episodes be where Tsukasa and Ira keep switching which other group of two they're going to be partnered with. Now, while Michiru is probably going to be their main partnered group for the beginning there, and that's probably because Michiru is relatively new as far as things go. I like the thing that we're going to see how different people and different Gifty Us work within this new dynamic here. We saw in some ways how Zach is basically just like, hey, I'm here and I'm a bright ball of just positive energy, and this is gonna be okay. You don't have to cry yet. We can smile at this. This is a happy moment. You guys had a great 9 years together, and you know it's gonna be okay. And I like that. That's where one of them would do things. And then we have my other ones where it's gonna be a little bit more solemn, where it's like, hey, we got this special thing for you here. We hope things are made better. Here's some little things we can do to make the transition a little bit easier for you.
Well, and the part where in the beginning where Ira was destroying the memories of the son, right? It looked like she was also going through the memories.
Well, I think that was another thing we should bring up. Yeah,
right.
Is that I don't think they're not experiencing the memories.
Right. I think the Giftias specifically are experiencing the memories
when they touch with the rings.
Right. Exactly. And they're destroying them and all that stuff for privacy's sake and whatnot. Personal information. But that's something that they still experience. Right. And they have
to go and observe a file in order to destroy said file.
Right. Exactly. And that's just adding even more emotional turmoil, conflict, whatever you want to call it, to their own internal state as they think about the idea that their life will come to an end as well.
Since
and seeing and because they're seeing all of this stuff for the other people, right? And so
there is a small likelihood though that opens up a little bit of another my corporate mind goes a little bit nefarious here every once in a while, and that they were like, but for privacy purposes, that's why we have them stay with the whole thing to make sure everything is legit. But if your current androids are already observing said memories, that's already a breach of privacy, because they're literally then able to then look at everything, and there's nothing to say that they couldn't be copying the memories.
So then what if normally they don't do that, but Ira specifically is starting to to worry, to wonder and all that stuff? So she's actually starting to look through the memories because she's trying to hold on. She's she's scared of what's going to happen. So she's basically experiencing what the loss is, because she's looking at what this this Giftias had, and then now that's all going to be taken away, right? Because she's essentially the one doing the destroying to the Giftias, right? She's the one wiping its memory, which that's got to be a weird thing to be thinking about, since
that is a good point.
Essentially they're euthanizing the robots, right? Like, for all intensive purposes,
do the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
right here.
So there's a lot of room for them to basically have things be not according to protocol, basically, because Ira is not doing well, understandably so.
But given that she is obviously not doing well, it's obvious how she is actually not okay. Is this a thing where she's keeping this hidden from the rest of the team, which she's not really doing
a good job of?
Or it's a thing of where they kind of go, we're hiding this as a team from our lead.
Right.
But we all know what's going on with Ira. And that was why they were like, but we don't have a...
and then they're like, you can team up with Ira, and it's
but then the main guy, the older guy, was like, he can totally team up with Ira-chan. Yeah, absolutely. And they're like, no. Maybe here's another thing. Maybe there's studies where it's like the Giftias, when they're in public commercial service, last that long, but when they're actually in the work
save on like company funds and whatnot.
No, don't put words in my mouth. Hold on. Okay. I know where you're going with this, but I was going to say that they actually degrade faster when they're working, because they experience the stuff that would wear out their personality and soul and what have you. Where were you gonna go with this?
I was thinking that it was something where it's like, but to cut expenses, we don't get rid of them right away. It's like at the restaurant where there's like that one piece of machinery that's been around for 35 years, right? And it should have been replaced a long ass time ago. But with enough duct tape and elbow grease, it still does its thing.
And that's why the humans are there. They're there just to make sure that the Gifty-S doesn't cause too many problems.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And the thing is that all these dealios and stuff, the show can choose pick and choose of what they actually want to go into, right?
That's true.
So
you can use none of them, you can use all of them, you can use a couple here and there,
and who knows, right? It doesn't have to just be Ira that's going to die at the end of this show. It could be more than just her, although she's the obvious one.
Yeah, I think actually that would be a cool little thing. Is what are the kinds of things that could go really wrong that disrupt what we currently understand about the lore and world building of the show? Mm-hmm. Like, how would a Gifty-S do their job incorrectly? Would an example of this be the comedy scene that we saw where she's like, okay, understood, tries to jump across the whole area and just slips and then kapoof. That was hilarious.
The fact that this is the show that's from.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's amazing.
That's
We've seen that clip so many times.
So many times.
And yet, of course.
Yep.
So, what would be something like that would be a problem? Would it be that the Gifty-S that is needing to be retrieved doesn't desire to be retrieved and gets violent? Could it be that there's issue where when the destruction of the memories process happens, there's something that malfunctions because it's still a machine interfacing with the machine, and when that happens, there's that 1 in a million thing that something goes off.
Error data, woohoo!
Yeah. Especially given that if a Gifty-S is on its way out in terms of near its expiration date,
going through its mind might not be the healthiest thing. Yeah. Well, and then there's also the whole idea of like, what Ira was doing of like getting all scared and all that stuff. Now, there's the comedy aspects of it of like she's like freaking out and all that stuff, but then there's also the idea of, no, this is actually something that's really tough for her because she's realizing, I'm going to die.
And she's looking in a weird mirror every time she does this to someone else. She's like, this is me. This is going to be me. This is going to be me.
And yet she does these things to try and tide over this person, this old lady, of just like, oh, tea. Oh, that wasn't enough. Tea and cookies. Oh, tea, cookies, and honey.
Tea, cookies, honey, and sandwiches, and biscuits and cakes and all that.
Right. And it's like, is that something where it's potentially her programming breaking down, where she just starts doing the same, like just adhering to programming rather than more of like the emotional, like intelligence that they seem to have? Yeah. What Zach was doing, right? Yeah. Or is that something where she's actually just, or it is an emotionally based thing, and she's actually just being in denial of the fact that she is looking in a mirror, and she wishes that it could just be something that was tied up, calmed over by simply tea and cookies and whatnot.
There's also another aspect of this, in that given that Ira is one that is worried about her own expiration date and her time being out, or time being over, given that we saw her crying in the elevator like earlier on in the very beginning of the show, this could be the kind of stuff that she would appreciate having in her last moments. So we're getting a visual cue of what the end of the show will be like, and be like, hey, Ira, let's have a cup of tea. And then we are literally, like, I'm going to call a shot. We are going to see a shot of Ira holding the tea. Her hand trembles. Tears fall into the tea.
Yep.
And then, someone holds her hands or what have you.
And the fact that, like, the whole thing of her, like, having a little garden is so perfect. Because that's beautiful. Because if you look at nature, right? Because, with
death and rebirth are
death
a huge
and rebirth,
part of nature.
That is baked into everything. And
especially plants,
and with people, it gets complicated because it's not just a plant, right? We're actual living, breathing people, and we have connections to those people, right? And the idea of them one day dying, it's a much more emotional endeavor than simply, okay, I grew some chamomile and now I'm going to boil it and make tea, right?
Yeah, there's some very interesting little metaphors there,
right?
With that whole process.
Yeah, but yet, like, because we get so focused as a species on the life being beautiful, not the death being beautiful, and yet in something like, say, chamomile, that's why we grow it for the death.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, even plants have memories in some level too. So, yeah. Here we go, y'all. Plastic Memories started the show.
Boy.
Pretty solid. Pretty solid first episode.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they literally did the Edward Nina thing. Like, oh my God.
I could
like,
not believe that they did that.
One name. Okay. Just Edward. Sure. Right. Nina right after. Really? And those are the two names. Those are the two names that they do. And it's a little girl. All right.
What? Watch, the Seiyu for her was also probably the same Seiyu. Like, that would be hilarious.
That's something where it's like, got a baseball bat, like a spiked baseball bat, and they're just like, you ready?
Shonen Bat is like coming through this show, and it's just like, would you like to escape, Jacob? So y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. It was quite a good one. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the novel that he wrote.
That's right. In case you hadn't heard, I wrote a sci-fi novel. So if you like this show, a sci-fi show that uses the sci-fi as an element to, you know, showcase some elements of humanity and have some emotional moments.
Family.
Yeah, exactly. Family and all that stuff and human connections. Then you might enjoy my book because it goes over a lot of the same things and uses a lot of the same tools. It's available on Amazon. Link in the description, both hardback and ebook. So whichever works best for you, go check it out.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.